our first speaker. She's a TEDx speaker, a confidence expert. She says she was on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno when she was, 11? She's won awards. She's recognized the world over as one of the top female coaches to follow. She's worked with, oh my God, my company that I have a lot of money invested with, Morgan Stanley. She's coaches Angelina Jolie's brother. How cool is that? Including the mayors of major California cities. She speaks to teens and women all over the country about overcoming peer pressure and bullying. I heard her speak a few weeks ago, and I must say I was blown away. She has amazing stories. And to top it all off, besides being an area director in District 100, our sister district to the west, she is the immediate past president of the first Toastmaster club to ever exist in the whole world of Toastmasters, Smedley Chapter 1. Now that is some amazing credentials. Please join me in welcoming Michelle Mehta.
Thank you so much for that wonderful honor. At first, I was like, who are you talking about? But then I forget it's me, because sometimes we give people bios and we don't remember who we are, because we are very humble people. We're humble servants. So thank you so much for inviting me at this wonderful event tonight, or this morning for Alicia. I was asked for a particular topic because a couple of weeks ago, I talked about how I became a TEDx journey. And apparently that wasn't as interesting as what I'll be sharing with you today, thanks to a couple of people that attended last time. How many of you are in a relationship, like a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband and wife, husband, wife? Congratulations, you found your mate in a timely manner. I, on the other hand, am still looking. I'm only 33 years young, but I feel like I've experienced an entire lifetime, because sometimes that's what it takes. You experience an entire lifetime in your current life. As my bio mentioned, I am a confidence expert. So I teach people how to gain confidence, not only in their speaking world, but also in their personal life. Kind of has to start with you first. I wanted to do the change I wanted to see in the world, and that's how it started. I am 25 years old, sitting in a bright white room with The Big Bang Theory on replay for the past 4 hours. And I'm stuck here, really wondering, how did I get here? And I thought, oh, this was totally not my plan. You see, 5 years ago, I had a plan to be in a management position at a Fortune 500 company, a plan where I'll be in a significant committed relationship, ready to get married, as in I would have a ring on my finger. I looked at my hands and there is no ring. There's a ring at least on the wrong finger, not on the right finger. I am at Planned Parenthood waiting to get an abortion that I got by a person that had just raped me a couple nights before. You see, this was not part of my plan. This is definitely not part of my plan that I wanted at the age of 25. But I had a bigger goal, a goal that I needed to achieve for myself. Because I didn't want to raise a child. I didn't want to raise this baby without the father. And I didn't want the baby asking me, hey, mom, where's dad? And my answer is, I don't know. I blocked him before you were born. How horrific would that be? So I made the decision to get an abortion. One of the toughest decisions in my life at that time, but I didn't know where my life was going. You see, I was 25 years old. And now I'm 33. Still no man in sight, because I didn't realize the trauma that had happened. Being in the coaching space, we disconnect and connect easily. So that's what had happened to me. I had disconnected from my emotions. It took me about 5 years to figure out what my emotions were. And all I kept doing was chasing after my passion. My passion was to use my voice in a timely manner, join Toastmasters and inspire people through my message. And I realized if I wanted to be confident for myself, I needed to go out and be the best confident person I could be. So I invested tons and tons of thousands of dollars into personal development. I hired all kinds of coaches because if there's an app for that, there's definitely a coach for that. Remember those iPhone 3 advertisements that used to happen back in the early 2000s? Yep, that's right. If you wanted to grow your life, there's a coach for that. And that's what I did. It so happened that in 2021, I made a decision because I was tired. I was tired and frustrated, and I was depleted in the way I could offer and the way I could connect with the opposite sex. And I needed to do something different. So I hired a relationship coach. Yes, there's a thing. I hired a relationship coach because that was my plan for 2021. That in January, my New Year's resolution was to hire a relationship coach. And in April, the perfect coach lands my way. And she's perfect because she was recommended by two of my friends who had gone through her process. And her homework assignment is stay seated. It's called Date 40 People Project. That's right. Not 1-4, it's 40. Go out and meet and greet and date 40 men. We are still in the middle of a pandemic. Where am I going to get these 40 different types of men? Lo and behold, through my presidency at Smedley Chapter 1, and just coming out of the high of being a TEDx speaker, I accomplished these 40 dates in 4 months. On top of the fact that I was planning my sister's engagement party with 120 people. What did I learn in all of this? Is that men are amazing people. We need them in our lives because they are some of the structure of our lives. See, the women are like the net. They have so many things going on, but we need a skeleton, and that's sometimes what men offer. I learned that there are so many ways that I can convey my message without the judgment. I needed to step out of my comfort zone. My comfort zone was Indian men because as an Indian woman, that's all I used to date was only Indian men. And the Indian men would drive me bonkers, would drive me insane because they had to follow the family pressure. They had to follow the family ideas. I had to fit into their box. They had to fit into my box. And it was so difficult for me to understand what was happening. And my friends would joke around and say, Michelle, despite of all of your experiences, you still want to date an Indian man? I said, there's something about me that's very Indian that would only allow me to connect with them. Not until I met that 40 date coach person that said, go out and I want you to touch nobody that's Indian. They can't be Sri Lankan, they can't be Pakistani, they can't be anything related to the South Asian content. You need to go outside and venture off. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to find these 40 people? Where am I going to start? For starters, it's a dating app. It's called Match.com. And I thought, why not go ahead and attract the people who've already attracted to me? See, we don't need to reinvent the wheel in life. The wheel's already been invented multiple times. So many of you are in relationships. Many of you raised your hands. You've already made it easy for me to what it feels like to get married and walk down the aisle or put a ring on that finger or, all the other things that happen, right? So I thought, I'm going to go out and just swipe yes on everybody that has given me a like. Who has swiped yes on me, I'm going to swipe yes back. So then we become a match. One Sunday morning, I swiped yes on 30 people. 23 came back. 7 of them gave me their phone number. And I'm jumping up with joy because now I'm in business. You see, that's all it takes is that commitment level. It's like in pathways, right? Some of us have to finish 2 paths to get our DTM. So we're going to speak as many times as we want so we can complete those paths in a timely manner. We have Alicia Curtis over here. If you see her signature line, I think she has every single path listed except maybe one. Or maybe she's even tackled that one as well because she's committed to getting her message across. That's what I had to do. I had to get the confidence to allow people to feel that not only am I a TEDx speaker, not only have I been on TV, not only have I been a feature on Yahoo Finance, but I'm also still a human being. And this does not define me. I still define my life. And through the 40 people, I have increased my confidence in ways that now I don't take anybody else's, we call it BS in the American culture, right? I don't take anybody's nonsense in this culture. I've had people tell me, well, you should call me first. And I say, no, thank you. I've had people tell me, well, you should drive up to me first. And I say, no, thank you. Because when I say no to something else, I'm saying yes to something else. As a people pleaser, born and raised people pleasing, comes in my generation. It comes from my parents, come from their parents. I still see it at home. And catering to other people, but then who's catering to us? Who's catering to me when I need support? And I look around, there's no other human being in sight. And yes, there's a universal power and there's a supreme power, but there's no strings above me. I'm not a puppet, which means I have to make that decision myself. I have to be the driver of my course. I have to be the driver of my life. And so I did. And through that process, it has allowed me to believe in what I want. It's also helped me believe in what I don't want. Because when you figure out what you don't want, the opposite is really easy. I figured that out. I don't want somebody to tell me to call me first, which means I want somebody to call me first. It's very simple. Second, I needed to believe that I needed to achieve this. Because in the end, women have a biological clock. It's kind of ticking. I don't know how fast or slow it's ticking, but it's kind of ticking. And I want to be a mom one day, the mom the real way, not the way I started off my story. So I thought I have to do something different. And that is, I have to pay attention to who I attract into my life. So I have to believe that there is a right man for me. And I do have to kiss one too many frogs to get that prince. And the third thing is to create that positive self-talk. I've had so many people tell me, oh my God, dating is so hard. It's so frustrating. It's so challenging. And I said, don't talk about a challenge with me. 40 people in 4 months during the pandemic, in person, with coffee, with lunches, with dinners, with drinks, of all the things, walks as well, drives. I didn't gain an extra weight, but I did get extra 5 seconds of knowledge. I learned something about the other person. I learned about different cultures. I didn't realize how diverse Indian culture could be. I didn't realize the appreciation I got with other people being non-Indian. They're like, oh my God, you're Indian? My ex-girlfriend was Indian. Or my coworker is Indian. I totally love your food. We should go out and try an Indian restaurant. Really? You want to learn about my culture? How different was that type of a conversation I got to have? I got to meet people that were working in the court system, that were working lawyers, engineers, Starbucks baristas, you name it. I got to experience that, something that I would never experience had I gone the traditional route. You see, in the Indian culture is like resume matching. How many of you have applied for a job? How many of you have a resume? So think about the resume, but in like the relationship world. You have your name, your parents' name, your hobbies, your interests, and your address and where you live, and a couple photos of yourself. Indian people take that piece of paper and they match it with your background. They check, oh, does the height match? Does the age match? Does the parents match? Great. Ta-da, you get to go. Right? So from that, going on to swiping left and right on Match.com was quite different. It is quite unique. And in that, now I realize that not only am I a confident person for myself, but I can now share this story with all of you. A story that I did not know that I was brewing inside of me. And I actually met my relationship coach in person a week ago, because we were Zoom buddies, right? You just meet them over Zoom, but you never meet them in person. And she gave me her books because she herself is also an author. And until you don't know what you want, you will never get what you want, because you have to be crystal clear on your mission. How many times in life we want to be a DTM, but we don't know how to get there? So we have to go in there and go over and over again to check your points, to make sure how qualified we are. How many of us are in clubs that have less than 10 DCP points? How many times do you have to go in there a week and check to see if we're on point with their DCP points? Some clubs are like, we don't even know what that is. We're going to go follow another plan. Or we don't even know what a club success plan is. We're just going to follow DCP points, realizing that they're on a rocky foundation, right? That's how life is all about. So for me today, it's about 3 principles that I like to teach you with. First of all, decide what you want. Whatever it is in your life, decide what you want and go after it. Number 2, have the sense to believe it. Because if you can't believe it, no one else is going to believe it. And number 3, you need to have positive self-talk, because positivity is going to float your boat. Negativity is going to sink your boat. How many of you have had that phrase where you have so much trash inside of your boat and just sinks, but then you have the same amount of weight of positive energy and it floats? It's the same boat. What's in it? Junk or amazing goodies? The choice is yours, what you get to put inside of that. I needed to change my story. I had to believe in that because I was not going to have another scenario where someone abuses me in a way where I end up at the Planned Parenthood all over again. I need to be in a position where I'm strong enough to know what I want and not be afraid of it. And number 3, at the end of the day, whether I get married this year or I get married 5 years from now, it doesn't matter because I am proud of who I am. I don't need you guys to be proud of me because I don't really know you, right? You're not the one that's sleeping inside of my head or in my heart. You're far, far away. I have to drive to you. I live in Irvine, right? I don't know where all of you guys live, but you're in San Bernardino. It's a different district. It's not a District 100 or Founders. That means I have to drive somewhere physically to meet you, right? But at the end of the day, it's about going after your dreams because no one is going to go after you more than you will. And that's similar to what happened with my TEDx journey as well. I had a dream of being the best motivational speaker that I could be. And my parents said, nope, not going to happen because keynote speakers don't make money. Motivational speakers don't make money. Yeah, they do. Welcome to the pandemic. Every other person is becoming a coach. Every other person is becoming a speaker. Hence, we have new clubs forming in Toastmasters world every single day. Right? And I didn't let the pandemic stop me from becoming a TEDx speaker. I got it selected in the first round of auditions. If you want to know about that journey, you can reach out to me. Be more than happy to give my information. Any questions? Because that basically concludes my talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle. Does anybody have a question for her? I have plenty of questions for her. So Michelle, let's start out since I can't remember if I asked this last time. So what made you say yes to that 40 dates in 4 months situation? Like most of us would have said, yeah, and then quit.
I needed to change my story. I've been on the dating website since 2012. We're now in 2022. We're not even going to count the college days of dating. I've been doing this cycle for 10 years. I was tired. Okay, literally was tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's like going to the same job, point A to point B, point A to point B, the same way. Not even realizing there's another freeway forming on the other side of you. So I needed a difference. I needed something unique. I needed something to talk about. And when I initially heard about from my friends that, she's going to put you on a 40-date project, and I'm like, 40 dates? And I saw it as a challenge. Because what everybody does right, Michelle does left. What everybody does left, Michelle does right. It's a pattern of mine. I don't follow what people do. I create my own pattern. And then I play. Right? At the end of the day, I had to decide that. And just seeing that 40, and I actually couldn't stop at 40 because I hadn't finished my homework yet. So I had to go 50, 10 more. But at that time, it was a little bit of a slower pace. Right? But at the end of the day, there is a journal that I've created. It's an Excel spreadsheet of all the things I've experienced with people, the things I've learned, the hobbies I've learned from them. And I think I'm at 49 or something like that. But I got to keep going until I got a ring on my finger because I'm still single without a ring on my finger. Just like that song, Single Ladies.
I think I heard a song about that.
So
I can ask questions all day from her. So all these fancy connections, meeting these famous people, what was the key to making, how you just don't happen to run into Angelina Jolie's brother.
Yeah, I was a leadership training
people.
program. I'm a personal development junkie. I don't know if you know that or not. Maybe Karen knows. I love all things personal development. So in 2017, I joined a leadership program of 4 months, and he happened to be one of the attendees. And through that, we became friends. And to the point where he's had dinner at my house. He's come and seen my film. He's come and seen me film my TEDx talk because mine was a virtual conference. He's come and seen the replay of the TEDx talk when it was actual at the live conference. So he's been a very impactful part of my life. And I've helped him with his relationships because his whole story is about, I feel abandoned. And how do we overcome abandonment? Something that he goes through. Because sometimes we feel like something's working and all of a sudden it's not. And then we're like, what do we do?
I think that's great, because by saying yes to everything and going to that session, the training, then you meet these people who then lead you to the next. It's, yeah, well, I do, as Karen would say, a famous talk of just say yes. Very similar. I can ask, other people have questions or comments for Michelle?
Karen, go ahead.
What a surprise, Karen.
I know. So yeah, it's exhausting to think of dating 40 people at all. So I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. I commend you for your resilience, and probably your sense of humor. However, my real question is, how much do you let in your family with your experience? Do you read them in on everything? Like, how does that fit with the family culture? Because that can be really challenging. How do you negotiate that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the 40 people, when I told my parents about, oh, hey, I'm going to go to this 40 project, my mom was like, you're crazy. What a waste of time. You need to be in the kitchen and learn how to cook more. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, cooking is always going to be a part of my life, but this 40 people may not be there. And it was hard convincing them. And to the point where I told them I did the first 20, then I stopped talking about it, because then it was like really tension. And at the end of the 20, I told them, oh, by the way, I finished that project. And they're like, oh my God, you tell us when it's done. You don't even tell us when you're going through it. It's because they don't understand. They came to the States in 1981. And things have been a lot different since 1980 and 2021, 2022. And having a kid like me that's rebellious and is going to push through, it's challenging. I'm not going to lie, because I'm the firstborn in my family outside of India. So I'm the first American girl in my family on my mom's side and my dad's side. And so I'm an experiment of an experiment is what I tell people. And which is why I have an American name as my real name and not an Indian name, like a lot of my other siblings and my cousins do. But that's the story, right? It's like I teach them which way I can push and pull. And related to the dating aspect, I will briefly tell them if I get more than a second date or a third date, I'll tell them about it. Oh, hey, I met this guy. But now at this point, they trust my judgment enough to be like, oh, she's going to weed them out faster than we'll weed them out. It was just so interesting. True story. About 4 days ago, my dad sends me a profile, like a resume I was telling you guys about. Looks at the profile and says, oh my God, like this guy looks so good. He works for Apple. He's an engineer. He's 5'6". Okay, so then Michelle hops on the call with this guy. And the guy's father calls me. I then connect. And he's talking to me about this 5-year-old daughter whose birthday was that day that I connected. Nowhere on that paper did it say the 5-year-old kid was going to be there. And so I immediately tell my dad, I said, Dad, what do we do in this situation? There's this guy who's like 34 years old, has a 5-year-old daughter. Double check to see. Well, it was not written. So, at that point, you realize words are just words, right? Whether you write them on paper, you write them on a dating app, they're just words. What really matters is the connection, right? And the way you're going to get that connection is through communicating through words and feelings, and you understand body language, which is why I appreciate Toastmasters, because we over here in Toastmasters will still BS the answer, impromptu speaking, but we'll know that it's a real answer no matter what, because that's how we show up. So does that answer your question, Karen? Thomas, your hand's up.
Yes, I just want to let you know that you're a very beautiful girl, and your future husband is waiting for you, definitely waiting for you. And don't settle for less. Your future husband is definitely going to find you. I wanted to ask you about your TEDx experience.
Yeah.
And what did they do for you? And how did it help you with your career?
Perfect. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for those encouraging words. Number one, I'm going to say we, because many of us women I don't know much about men, but I do know about women. We have the imposter syndrome. We're a certain role at home, but then in our outside world, we have a different role. And so for me, the TEDx journey was about getting rid of the imposter syndrome, allowing my parents to see that I am a coach, I am a capable coach, and I can do this for money. And not only has it reduced my imposter syndrome, but it's allowed me to be super confident in my words, in my body language, and allowing me to just show up for people and literally share my voice across, because I've been invited to about 4 to 5 podcasts a week. And I share my message, and it's great for the guest and for the host as well. Guests get to share their message, and then the host have a credible person on their podcast, so it ups their reviews. So at the end of the day, it's about, yes, TEDx journey is a journey because it takes a very long time to go from applications to getting the decision process and then the conference itself. It takes about 6 to 7 months in preparation. And I did put my life on hold for that. I didn't coach at all during that time, because the TEDx journey itself was very daunting, but it's definitely probably the best decisions I've made in my life. And it's allowed me to really step into who I am and achieve one of the biggest dreams of my life outside of graduating high school and college, was be the best motivational speaker that I could be. So the personal growth more than anything else. Does that answer your question?
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And I'll have some of these Polynesian boys give you a call.
Perfect. Thank you. John, you have a question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Did you spill the beans with all 40 people and tell them what you were up to?
Yes, I did. I told them that I'm in Toastmasters. I told them that I'm a life coach. I told them that I have just finished being a TEDx speaker. Some of them were like, oh my God, that is so cool. And some of them were like, you're a girl next door. Some of them were like, really? How did you accomplish all of that? So it became a whole can of worms.
Yeah, but did you tell them? You tell them you're my 19th date, I guess.
Oh, some of them I did. Okay, so here's the beginning. So in the beginning, I would tell people like, what brought you onto this website? That's usually a question I get on these apps. Like, what brought you onto this website? And I would say, I'm here doing market research. I'm like, market research for what? And I said, I'm not really sure what type of man I'm looking for. So I'm here doing research. And like, oh, really? That's so cool. And so then I would say, yeah, and I have to meet 40 of these. And so like, well, what number are you? Or like, what number am I? I'm like, you're number 5. But in reality, they were like number 25. But I'm not going to speed up the process because I had to dismiss them at the end of every date. See, the game was you have to meet 40. You can only go out with them once. You can't go out them a second time. You cannot have a physical relationship with them. You can't even have anything related to the sexual part either. So it's strictly just meeting them, and then you have to politely dismiss them. And some of them, I gave them a little pinky and they took my entire arm, and I said, this isn't going to work. Sorry, guys. But they're like, you're so rude. And I told you what I was here for, that I'm here to connect, to figure out what I want. It has nothing to do with you, so that's how it was. And that's what you have to be upfront with these things, because otherwise they're just going to throw you on a loop. And I don't have time for emotional drama. I had too much going on over here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, Tom.
Yes, I just wanted to back you up on the concept of meeting 40 people in a short period of time. I've been married for 57 years. And yet when I met my wife, March 19th, 1964, we were engaged within 2 months and married within 5, only because we had to work over the summer. But it was an immediate connection. And I've always believed for my whole life that in reality, how many people do we all say we found the perfect love? How many people do we ever really meet to get to know well enough to think that we're interested in staying with them forever? And the truth is probably very, very, very few people ever really actually meet 100 potential people to be with. And yet many of those find that perfect mate. Does that mean that 1 out of every 100 people that you might meet would be the perfect mate? Or is it the perfect mate that's perfect for you? So I think it's important for you to meet many people and devote a certain amount of time to get to know them, but don't dedicate a whole lot of time to trying to change them and everything else. Get to meet people and go. And the concept of meeting 40 different people certainly improves your odds. So congratulations on that philosophy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story. It's so beautiful, because my sister is 3 years younger than me. So she's 29 years old, and she hated all things related to marriage. She didn't want to be on the dating website. She didn't want to go out and like meet people. She was anti-marriage. Up until November of 2020, my now brother-in-law shows up, knocks on our door, basically via paper. And my parents look at it and they said, let's give this a shot. And my sister had tears in her eyes after their second date saying, I like this person and I want to do something about it. For a girl that hated marriage, the talks of marriage, and was tired of my stories, found her match within 6 months and they got engaged. And now they're planning a big Indian wedding in November. Or no, they had a court marriage last November. They're planning a big Indian wedding in July. So Karen, no division director for me this year until my sister gets married. And why 40, not 30 or 60 is because the first 10 is usually the lowest of the crops. They usually are not the ones that you want to be with. So every 10, it improves. So the first 10 is the lowest. Then the next 10 is better than that. Then the third 10 is better than that. And then the last 10 is supposed to be better than that. So you see that in the quality of education. You see that in the quality of caliber. You see that in the quality of the baggage that they have. You see that in quality of the connection. And the last 10, oh my God, it took me forever to complete that. It was like people would set up, oh, let's exchange phone numbers, and they would never commit to a date. Or they would like have conversations via text, but never pick up the phone and call. So the last 10 drove me bonkers. And then I thought, I think I can go out and do another 10 more. So I took a couple months off of dating just to get my brain back and wired again to figure out a new project. And that's how that happened. So Marilyn, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Any final words, Michelle, for us?
I am so blessed to be here and such an honor to be part of this district. I've never attended a club in this district. I'm only a 4-year-old Toastmasters, by the way. I joined Toastmasters in 2017, Labor Day weekend, the Tuesday after Labor Day weekend at Anaheim Breakfast Club. And from there, I joined Smedley, which I didn't even know Smedley Chapter 1 was the oldest Toastmasters club until they were planning the anniversary. And I was still didn't put 2 and 2 together. And then I got into becoming part of the executive council or executive committee. And then I realized, oh my God, I am part of the oldest Toastmasters club. # no pressure. But then realized that I was also the youngest board member to be part of Smedley Chapter 1. And Karen Lucas was my WPE. And so me and her got close as a result of it and helped me become an area director today. So yes. So that's where my journey as Toastmasters is. And I commend and I am so grateful for Toastmasters for allowing me to really pay attention to the way I communicate. I've been able to give impromptu speeches at funerals in front of 250 people without being on the agenda. I've been able to do timely speeches within that particular time. They'll be like, okay, you have 7 to 10 minutes and I'll finish it off in like 6.5. So those are the things that I've learned in Toastmasters and allowed me to really achieve my dream, which is to be the best motivational speaker that I could be. So I'm forever grateful for the organization and for meeting people like you.
Thank you, Michelle. It is our honor to have you, and you've inspired all of us. Well, you inspired me again and inspired all of us. Can you imagine what organization would not want her to be their keynote speaker anytime? You have a lot to offer.
And I'm going to drop my email address and my phone number. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
I appreciate that. And Michelle, thank you for coming and speak with us. And you really went out of your way for us, and we really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Applause, waving hands for Michelle.